The Battle of the Fey Women.
Mystic Maya stumbled briefly after being hit over the head with the staff, but then she touched Mr. Clarice's next attack and stole her weapon. Suddenly, Mr. Clarice was the one on defense with her back to the stone lantern. That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mr. Clarice. Mr. Clarice managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed.
That was a very heartbreaking story.
I don't know if there were any bad feeling between them, but it had been 17 years since Mystic Missy's disappearance. Perhaps they simply didn't recognize each other anymore.
That seems reasonable. Now then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination.
Mystic Maya stumbled briefly after being hit on the head with the staff.
Iris, where were you standing when you witnessed all this?
What do you mean?
Well, if either of them had noticed you, they might not have continued their battle.
I wonder if that's true. The two of them, they were standing near the garden store lantern. I was watching the whole thing from behind. It was dark when the two of them were, so I think that's why they didn't see me.
So it was dark in the garden when the murder took place. Tell me, what did Miss Maya Fey do after she was struck?
But then she touched Mr. Clarice's next attack and stole her weapon.
What happened to the victim's staff then?
I'm not sure. The area was very dark, so I really couldn't see. I think it got knocked away somewhere as the fight escalated.
That makes sense. That would explain the need for the dagger.
Mr. Clarice placed the dagger to strike, and Mystic Maya touched it at the last second. The dagger struck the lantern and fell to the ground. And then at some point, Mystic Maya picked it up.
Nothing sounds especially strange yet.
What did the victim do when the weapon was stolen from her?
Suddenly, Mr. Clarice was about one on the defensive, with her back to the stone lantern.
You're saying that Maya Fey turned the tables on the victim?
Yes. But Mystic Maya wasn't herself at the time. After all, her life was in danger.
I still can't believe it. The idea of Maya cornering someone at night point is just silly. As they say, a cornered fox is more dangerous than a jackal. I believe the correct description of a cornered fox is scared and petrified. Your animal analogies have grown tiresome. You were the one who started it.
Anyway, so, after Maya Fey backed the victim into the stone lantern, what happened next?
That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mr. Clarice.
Are you absolutely certain that's what you saw?
Yes, I'm almost certain.
Almost?
The garden was dark. I couldn't really tell who was who.
What did you say? So in other words, it could have been someone else entirely. We know that Maya Fey was at the inner temple that night, and that the woman that was killed was Lise Denham. Isn't it fairly obvious who attacked who?
Nerg, I don't have anything to counter that yet.
Well, the witness, please continue with your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. The two of them visited her for a moment. Then Mystic Maya rushed straight into Mr. Clarice. Then Mr. Clarice doubled over and fell to the ground.
So she was stabbed in the stomach, huh?
Yes.
In the stomach? What?
Mr. Clarice managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed.
Where did that dagger go?
I have no idea. I was stuck and I couldn't see.
According to the detective who found the dagger, it was stuck into the pine tree in the garden. Most likely it was flung towards the tree after the struggle.
That is the most likely explanation, yes.
After being stabbed in the stomach, did the victim collapse right away?
Now that I think of it, she seemed to stare at Mystic Maya for a while, and Mystic Maya stood there, not moving an inch. It felt for a moment like time had just stopped. But then, suddenly, as if the spell had worn off, Mr. Carissa fell over.
Seems like a reasonable story at first, but there's one thing that is completely impossible. The very idea of Maya stabbing someone, that alone is impossible, which means this faulty testimony must contain another contradiction in it somewhere. Alright, pretty obvious. Right here. If this is how it's happening, her back to the corner, and she was stabbed in the back, then obviously there's a very, very obvious contradiction here. Something about you just isn't right today, Iris.
Huh?
Until now, I didn't think you were the type to make such a careless mistake. However, the testimony you just gave contains quite a few contradictions.
And what do you mean? What's so wrong about my testimony?
According to you, my face stabbed the victim while she had her back to the stone lantern, correct?
Yes, that's right.
But in that case, the victim would have been stabbed in the stomach, right?
Yes, I think so.
But, according to the autopsy report, the cause of death was due to a blood loss from a stab wound in her back.
Oh!
This proves that the victim was stabbed from behind, not from the front. Sister Iris, it appears another seed of doubt has sprouted from your testimony.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright?
Simple. People are like books. We've all got a front and back. You get me drift?
Is that all you have to say?
I can also say the darkness loves to play with the human mind.
Could you please knock it out with the cheesy proverbs and logical metaphors already?
The point is, too much of the testimony just doesn't make sense. Throwing away a useful staff, the people fighting being mother and daughter, and now she falsely claims the victim was stabbed in the stomach.
There certainly are some inconsistencies.
Well, Iris, how about it?
Well, it's just,
If you ask me, you're just being too naive about the whole thing. What do you mean? There are 253 distinct types of bitterness in coffee, but to pick out each one requires total concentration and the use of all the senses. Were you really concentrating on what this witness actually said?
Prosecutor Godot, explain yourself.
The witness was quite unambiguous about her own ambiguities when she said that the garden was dark and she couldn't see clearly. A human needs one thing to see clearly, and that is light.
Light?
By the way, did you know? Azkura has a rule that on nights when an acolyte is at the end of temple training, the stone lantern in the garden must be kept lit. I did wonder what that stone lantern was there for.
Well, if that's true, shouldn't the witness have been able to see the crime more clearly?
Normally, yes, Your Honor. But according to the head nun, Sister Bikini, the night of the crime, it was impossible to light that stone lantern. Impossible? It hadn't been used in a long time and the wick was no good. In other words, it had to have been nearly pitch black in the garden that night. There could have been a faint light coming from the training hall, but that's all.
Also lightning.
Yes, that illuminating fact has chased all the contradictions away. If the staff was dropped, it would be difficult to see. It also explains why they didn't recognize each other. We can't see the demons that lurk in the night. That's why humans are weak. Isn't that right, Trite?
No!
Order!
Here, Your Honor. Let me present this stone lantern to evidence. Maybe it will rekindle a flame of truth in your mind.
Why is the judge just sitting there with that look in his face?
What's wrong, Your Honor? Was that flame too hot?
This letter, there's something written on it. What? It's written in blood.
Oh boy! So the judge didn't know about that yet?
Written in blood?
It says Maya upside down. What the?
Oh yes, that's right. After being cornered and then stabbed by Mystic Maya, Mystic Iris didn't fall down right away. She must have been writing that on the star lantern behind her, with the blood that was draining out of her body.
You know all the answers, don't you?
It certainly looks that way.
Hang on just a minute. What are you all talking about?
What do you mean? What are we talking about?
We're talking about the message written in blood. Nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. Could it be he can't see the bloody writing at all? Now that I think of it, he did say something to me yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. So that's what he meant by that.
In any case, this is obviously an important clue. We now know that the crime scene was dark, and that the victim scrawled this message on the stone lantern. Well, Mr. Godot, anything further? Mr. Godot?
Okay then, let's move on. Godot was literally shaking, and somehow, I don't think it's from caffeine overdose.
I believe it has now been established that Miss Denham was killed by my FA.
That's just wrong. Now it's time to turn our attention to you.
Yes, sir.
After the victim died, you did something, didn't you? Let's hear it. We're all ears.
After Mystic Iris died, I called out to Mystic Maya. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of Grand Edition, so I removed the body from my inner temple by myself. I tried to be happy all the way across the skip bridge. Then I used the snow bomber to carry it back to Hazakura Temple and I used the Shichichi sheet to alter the way the wood looked.
So you moved the body?
Yes, I was raised at Hazakura Temple. I owe a great deal of thanks to Fakran. But even so, I never imagined that Iris Denham was actually Misty Faye. I've committed seppuku.
A terrible trick of fate.
I believe you're looking for a twist of fate, Your Honor. I intended to return to the inner temple after taking care of the body. But
You were spotted about the head nun, correct?
yes, and that's why I couldn't go back.
Your story makes sense, I suppose. Mr. Wright, go ahead with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Here we go.
After Mystic Iris died, I called out to Mystic Maya.
So you waited until everything was over before making a move?
Nani, it's not like that.
She saw someone murdered right in front of her eyes. It's not surprising that she was a little timid.
Yes, I suppose that's true. Sometimes when I'm watching lawyers argue back and forth with each other, I feel so helpless that I just sit quietly and wait for them to reach a conclusion.
Isn't it your job as a judge to mediate the argument?
It wasn't until Mystic Maya saw me that it finally dawned on her what she has done. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the Grand Edition.
So then, you knew? You knew the significance of the name Maya Fey?
Yes, of course I did.
That's odd. I mean, just to begin, didn't recognize Maya's name, let alone her position.
Anyway, she was a very special person indeed. So I removed the body from inner temple by myself.
Why did you do that?
Because I didn't want Mystic Maya to be suspected in any way. I thought the best thing would be to remove the body from a crime scene.
You moved her body all by yourself?
Yes, I did. It would have been impossible if it wasn't for the snow.
The snow, huh?
I tried it behind me all the way across the ski bridge.
It's pretty amazing you could make it all the way across. That's a rickety old bridge.
It looks worse than it is. It's surprisingly sturdy despite its age.
It's like they say, Idiots are too stupid to catch even a simple cold. But there's one other thing that bothers me. Why not just throw the body into the Eagle River? It would have been much easier than dragging it all the way to Hazukra Temple.
I thought that it would still cast too much suspicion on me, Fire. That's why I tried to take the body as far away as possible.
Huh. Makes perfect sense to me. For the time being. Anyway, what do you do after you cross the bridge?
Then I use a snowmobile to carry it back to Hazukra Temple and...
The snowmobile? I knew that would show up sooner or later.
Yes, I had a key. I used the snowmobile to travel from Hazukra Temple to Dusky Bridge.
This is the part that was in question the other day. Should I ask for more details? Did it leave any tracks? If you really did move if you really did move her body by snowmobile, then there should be tracks left in the snow, right?
Well, yes, naturally you would expect tracks.
This picture was presented at yesterday's trial. Are these the tracks from that ride?
Yes, I think they are.
But I can only see one set of tracks here.
I don't see what's so strange about that. Snow was still falling when I left Hazukra Temple.
I see. Snow was still falling when you left Hazukra Temple, huh?
And then when the murder took place, it had already stopped. That's why there are such fresh-looking tracks.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What do you think about this testimony?
It's very important. When the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. That doesn't make sense if you stack it up against the other evidence. Your Honor, I'd like the statement Iris just made added to testimony.
But, does it have something to do with the case?
All will be made clear if you allow her statement to be added to the record. Huh. This should be fun. Let's get the snow business cleared up, shall we?
Yes, sir. By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped.
There have been a lot of contradictions in your testimony so far. This time, are you sure it's all true?
Yes, I am.
When the murder happened, the snow had already stopped. According to you, that's why the snowmobile tracks were so clear.
That's right, I'm certain of it.
I think I've trapped her this time. I see how you think. Snow, huh?
Oh, what is going on here?
If the snow really had stopped by the time of the murder, it'd mean there is a bigger hole in her story than the movie The Great Revelations. Huh. Well then, Mr. Trite, perhaps you'd like to share your theory with us. Let's see what's up your sleeve. Or rather, at the end of your index finger. I don't want to believe it, but I don't think my logic is failing me. Iris is trying to pin the murder on Maya. But why would she want to do that? There's only one reason I can think of. Alright, I mean that. Okay. Back to the beginning. Oh, wait. Sure, let's press this one as well.
I used the to out of the way the wood looked.
Is that what you were doing when Sister Bikini saw you?
Yes, that's right. She probably thought the worst.
Probably. Well, like, definitely.
I see. So Sister Bikini mistakenly thought you were the one that murdered Miss Denham.
I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. It's my fault that this case has gotten so confusing.
Alright, I suppose we'll forgive you.
Oh, fuck. Alright, I guess this is a statement that's contradictory. Not sure I get it, but here we are. You claimed that the snow had already stopped when the murder occurred. Well, I'm sorry, Iris. That just isn't possible.
Nani?
This is the weather data from the night of the murder. According to this, the snow didn't stop until 10:50 p.m. But you couldn't have crossed Dusky Bridge at that time.
Why do you say that?
Because 5 minutes before the snow stopped, Dusky Bridge was struck by lightning and had caught on fire.
What did you say? The bridge, it was on fire?
You don't mean to say you didn't know about it? It was because of that lightning strike that the bridge burned down.
Nani? But it can't be.
Looks like you still haven't figured it out. No matter how hard you try to deceive or conceal the truth, you can't pull the wool over the eyes of a real defense attorney.
No!
Order!
The bridge was already on fire when the incident took place. That's right, the Iron Temple was already totally cut off from the outside world. There's no way you could have crossed the bridge, body or no body.
Witness, even my patience has its limits. Any further lying and I will find you in contempt of court. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
The only person here that is truly contemptible is you. Old man.
Me? How dare you?
Whether this witness lied or not doesn't mean squat right now.
Squat?
The important thing now is to find out the truth. Isn't that right?
Yes, of course, but
Whether it was snowing or not snowing, whether the bridge was burning or not, there are two facts that can't be disputed. First, the body of Elise Denham was discovered in the Head Square Temple courtyard. And second, the head nun, Sister Bikini, witnessed Iris desecrating Elise Denham's body. He makes a good point on both accounts.
That's right. I'm not lying.
what are you claiming this time?
I wasn't myself at all that night. Some memory is still somewhat hazy.
You have stood at that witness stand and testified this entire time.
Are you telling us now that your memory of that night is hazy?
It is only human to err. If you're so perfect, right, maybe you can explain this for the court. What is it? When the murder happened, the bridge had already burned down. But somehow the body traveled across the bridge and was found in the temple courtyard. Perhaps you have some kind of explanation for this little magic trick?
Well, not exactly, no.
I know there must be some other way she got across the burnout bridge. But unless I can somehow demonstrate it, we'll never know the truth.
Looks like their defense is quite prepared to offer a suitable explanation.
You see what I mean? In other words, you're in no position to suggest that this lady's testimony isn't the truth.
Alright then, witness. Let's hear your testimony once more.
But what, Your Honor?
You've admitted that you moved the victim's body. Nevertheless, your prior testimony contained a rather large inconsistency. Please add an explanation for that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
How about you just tell the truth? Will this be her final testimony? Da-na-na-na.
Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body. Sorry, I must have just gotten confused, I guess. Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? Doesn't really matter that much. Or are you saying that there is a way to cross a burning bridge?
So it was just a misunderstanding, I see.
This is a photo of Disco Bridge after it burned down from the lightning blast. It was taken on the morning after the incident.
It certainly was burned to a crisp, and one of the suspension wires was snapped. Even snapped. It's amazing the whole bridge didn't fall. Clearly it would be impossible to carry a corpse across a bridge in this condition.
Well, once I do something to discredit this testimony, it's gonna be deemed as the truth. And Maya will be accused of murder. Trite, I'm only gonna say it one more time. It is only human to err, and only humans can spot the errors of our ways.
The more sense he makes, the less sense he makes.
Alright, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination.
Other than walking over the bridge, it is the way to move the body.
Yes, but if the snow had already stopped when the incident took place...
I couldn't have crossed the bridge, naturally. But I think this is what Mr. Kato said. The body did make it across somehow. So I must have just gotten confused, I guess.
Well, you seemed to be quite sure of yourself when you gave your testimony. You said you were sure the snow had already stopped.
I'm terribly sorry. I was wrong.
The Does he really think an apology's gonna get her off the hook?
Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? Does it really matter that much?
This is no joke. You're giving sworn testimony in a court of law.
Well, Mr. Wright, let me ask you a question. Do you remember what the water was like 1 week ago today?
Huh? Well, naturally, it was,
You see, it's not that easy to remember, is it?
But if it had been some kind of special day, I would have remembered. For example, it was pouring rain on the day of my elementary school graduation. No one wants to hear about your childhood traumas, right? What? By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. If you insist on obsessing over that one statement, let's see the proof. Show some evidence that the body somehow crossed the bridge while it was on fire.
Or are you saying that there is a way to cross a burning bridge?
Well, I want to see whether there can be a way across.
Mr. Wright, don't you think that sounds a bit scary? A dead body crossing a burning bridge? Did anyone actually witness such a thing?
Huh. If there was, I don't think you'd call someone like that a witness. After all, a dream isn't the same as actually seeing something. I've come all this way, so I owe it to everyone I've come all this way, so I owe it to everyone to figure this out. But how do you transport a body across a burning bridge? Even though I don't know the exact answer yet, it's okay. I'll start by examining all of my evidence and see where that takes me. I've got to be like a shark. If I don't keep moving, I'm as good as dead. Alright, it's very obvious here. I think a little Mr. Maurice Denham wants to speak to you. A dead body flying over a burning bridge? I wouldn't exactly rule out the possibility.
What?
Huh. You're saying it's possible? Don't make me laugh. The only thing that's possible about your claim is that it's been pulled out of thin air. I don't know about that. In any case, we have a witness who did see it happen.
Preposterous! But who is it? Who is this witness?
I can't chicken out here. I've got to keep on the attack and go. Miss Elise Denham's brilliant and highly gifted apprentice, Maurice Denham.
Brilliant? Highly gifted?
Apprentice?
Remember what he said in his testimony? That night he was at the Mountain Shack, Heavenly Hall, and that's when he witnessed the event. I think you've all seen this sketch before. It's an exact drawing of what he witnessed that night.
Are you serious? Today's not April Fool's Day, is it? Mr. Wright, are you seriously claiming that the victim flew through the air? And you're using this pathetic scribble to support your argument?
Uh-oh. The judge looks like he's about to blow a gasket.
Huh. Well, Trite, there's nowhere for you to hide now. Other than it looking like it was drawn by a 6-year-old, does this sketch prove anything? Yes, I'm pretty sure it does, and I'm gonna prove it. Listen, I know your tricks. You're trying to turn this whole thing upside down. If you're so eager to turn this case upside down, why not start with this sketch? Upside down? Why did Godot say that?
Alright then, let's hear the defense's theory. What exactly is this sketch trying to show?
I don't think that old Whiskerface is gonna forgive any more mistakes. Alright, Phoenix, look carefully and think it over. This sketch drawn by Maurice Denham is exactly what happened. Of course the victim was flying through the air. You can see her right there in the sketch. Whoosh!
You know, you're starting to remind me of yesterday's witness.
What? That was the last thing I wanted to hear.
Do you have any evidence that the victim flew in the air?
Just so you know, we haven't discovered a giant human catapult at the inner temple yet.
I wish they had.
Even if you're a lousy lawyer, at least you want cups worth of entertainment. I think we should skip the penalty this time.
There must be some way. I just know it. There must be a way to use Larry's sketch to show the truth of what happened.
Alright then, the witness will now return to her testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, shit. Gotta do this again? Fucking hell. That's one harsh punishment. I wish you had just penalized me. It all comes back to this. Oh.
Okay.
This sketch drawn by Larry's Denim is... Something is obviously funny about this sketch.
I'm no art critic, but even I can see that.
No, that's not what I mean, Your Honor. Larry's Denim stated it over and over. This sketch was exactly as he saw it. However, if we're to believe his testimony, then the sketch contradicts reality as we know it.
It contradicts reality.
Huh. This is getting interesting. Looks like you're bad to that finger-pointing thing again. Okay, Trite, so what exactly contradicts reality as we know it?
This?
It's this wire connected to the bridge.
The wire?
Huh. Is that the thing that contradicts reality? It is indeed. Then show us the reality it supposedly conflicts with. Show us something that will point out how the sketch contradicts reality. Where is it again? So many photos here. Yep, there it is.
Whoosh! That's a photo of the bridge, correct?
Yes. Now compare the sketch and the photo for a minute. In the sketch, the wires appears to be above the ground, above the guard wires. But on the actual dusky bridge,
Jumping Jehoshaphat! Jehoshaphat!
the wires are below the guard wires.
What? Order! This sketch is somewhat different than what's depicted in the photo. However, isn't it likely that the artist just saw it wrong?
Perhaps he just drew it wrong.
Either way, it sounds like you're just wrong. With someone like Larice, I admit a mistake is a definite possibility. But then that begs the question, why did he make a mistake? What was the reason? Are you saying you know the answer to that? Listen, think back, alright? Remember what Larice was doing when he witnessed this event? He was at Heavenly Hall waiting for a lover that was never gonna come. He waited and finally he laid down. But then, lightning shoots from the sky and sets the bridge aflame. Now ponder what sort of position Larice must have been in at the time. He was lying on his back, which is why he remembered the scene the way he did.
He was lying on his back? I can't see how it relates.
But it does, Your Honor. That is the reason why the wires in the sketch go up instead of down.
Ah!
No way! Larice Denham witnessed the event while he was lying on his back, face up. In other words, the scene that he saw was actually upside down. God damn it, Larry.
So then, this sketch should actually...
I think you finally get it, Your Honor. The correct way to view Larry's Denham sketch is like this. This is how it should actually look. The victim's body wasn't flying above the bridge, it was actually swinging below. That's right, just like a pendulum. Ridiculous!
Order!
Of all the things to say, a pendulum? The bridge was burning to a crisp. There was no way to get across it. But if the body had been found in the inner temple, it would have caused problems. This is where the criminal decided to take a gamble. They used the burning bridge to get the body across to the other side. And a pendulum was the only way to get it done. Let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Dusky Bridge is about 20 yards long, which means it's about that far from the inner temple to the opposite cliff. Yes, that sounds right. In order to cover that distance with a pendulum, you'd need a rope at least 10 yards long. To get a rope that long, you'd have to plan ahead. The lightning strike that night can only have been an accident, so it doesn't make sense that the culprit would have prepared the rope beforehand. So then, they didn't have to get the rope ready. The rope was already right in front of them. What? I'm saying that it was just a matter of using what was already there.
In that case, Mr. Wright, please give us an explanation to support your theory. What makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand to create a pendulum?
The photo again, right? Yeah, the photo again.
At the beginning of this is...
If you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard.
Ah! This is one of the wires from the bridge.
When the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Elise Denham's body. Whoosh! Yep. Yep. Because there was simply no other way to move the body.
Mr. Guido? It seems that Mr. Guido is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems that the odds of a rope being readily available were very high, so I suppose it's not an impossibility after all.
Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There's only one question. Did that really happen? Trite, I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual evidence that the body was swung over like a pendulum? Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires snapped. Looking at the map, we can see it's the one that was in front of the inner temple.
So then, that was the spot where the criminal...
Yes, precisely. Now let us consider the body's movement by looking at the overhead map again. If the body was pushed from this point here, whoosh, and traveled at a velocity of 5 miles per hour, it would drop on the opposite bank at approximately this point.
Did you say drop?
Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank.
Nani, what makes you think something like that happened?
Because I have evidence that suggests her body dropped some distance.
What kind of evidence?
Take a look at this autopsy report. It says here that her body fell about 10 feet after her death.
10 feet, huh?
That's most likely the height of difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum, but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. And then, as a result of the landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose.
That's...
Yes, this blood-stained amethyst crystal. It's the one that came off of Miss Elise Denham's staff. And even more important is the place where this crystal sphere was found.
Indeed, I believe it's already marked on this overhead map. The crystal was found... Ah!
Precisely, Your Honor. In the very spot where the pendulum would arrive if given the right amount of speed.
Whew. This explains your theory quite well, Mr. Wright. You have provided us with a way the body could have been moved that night. An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive. Mr. Wright?
I thought this cold coffee might help cool you down.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Godot?
That was a dark and bitter guess that you made, Trite. But you forgot about one thing.
Oh, and what would that be?
The aroma.
Huh?
A coffee's most reliable accomplice is its deep and profound aroma.
The rest of the court doesn't speak Coffinese. Can you elaborate a bit more?
If the criminal had sent the body to the other side like you say, then naturally there must have been an accomplice lying in wait to catch it.
An accomplice?
The criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge, so who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Trite?
Mr. Godot is correct. This can't be the work of a single person. Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do.
Yes, Your Honor. The body couldn't have made it to Hazakura Temple without an accomplice.
Very well then. If you please, Mr. Wright. Who was the person that received the body on the Hazakura Temple side?
Yoink. It can only be you, Sister Iris.
Huh? Oh! But
I don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport the body from Dusky Bridge is by snowmobile. But with her bad back, Sister Bikini could never pick up a bite like that. You're the only one that could have managed it.
Trite, were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on cleanup duty in the inner temple garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath.
I haven't forgotten, but have you, Mr. Godot? This witness was also seen as Hazakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim.
Strange indeed. It's almost as if, on that night, the defendant was in two different places at the same time.
Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony?
mention what?
The pendulum, of course. Using the sketch drawn by an eyewitness, I have established how the body was moved using the burned-out bridge. Which means it's now a fact that this occurred. Something you should have already known.
No, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about Pendulum.
But the body couldn't have been passed along to the other side without your help. So you should have known about it. In fact, it'd be impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing. Unless you're not really Iris to begin with.
Nani? How can you say that to Mr. Red?
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You're saying this witness isn't Iris of Hazakura Temple?
Are you serious? Trite, you mean this woman is...
There's no one besides Iris that could have received that corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know why I've been sick to my stomach this whole trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday. And why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. The woman that's standing there at the witness stand. Her real name is... I never thought I'd have to utter your name again, let alone see you. It's been a long time, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Hawthorne?
Sister Iris had a twin sister. And you're looking at her. Miss Dahlia Hawthorne.
That name rings some bells.
Distant bells, but bells nonetheless. Huh. It's just your imagination, Gramps. This file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh yes, I remember her now. That case, 5 years ago.
My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say it's an honor for me to be here in your noble presence.
The honor is all mine! No, the honor is all mine! But, according to this, Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. It says here execution was carried out last month.
So what? Death has no meaning in this courtroom.
What? Order!
Wait a moment. How can you? My sister, she's already dead. What kind of...
You of all people should already understand. After all, the blood of the master of the crane channeling technique flows within the body.
The crane channeling technique? Now where have I heard that?
That's right, you're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. You're the spirit of Dahlia currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium.
What an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible.
You're asking us to buy the Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be challenged by someone on the very night of the murder to a temple where his twin sister Iris was... Well, if you're gonna put things that way, then yes. We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happens? Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. It's all written right here in these instructions.
What's that?
These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay. And part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled. That night, there were 2 irises at Azkra Temple.
2 of them.
Even the time of the channeling was planned out. As soon as you hear the lights out bell, in other words, 10 p.m. However, Iris was seen before dinner time.
That means the Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris.
And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris Sister Bikini saw at the inner temple was someone else dressed as her, namely, one Dahlia Hawthorne.
Do you even know what you're saying, Trite? This whole channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business? Yes, it's true that you found plans that talk about it. However, there is one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing in the witness stand is the real Iris.
What? What?
Calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime. After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike. It was later that the body was moved by the Pendulum.
That's right.
Not sure that would mean that the Iris that received the body was the real Iris. Are you with me so far?
Yes?
After being notified of what happened, the police came to Azkra Temple's main hall. There, they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she's been under police supervision at the detention center.
Yes, I suppose. I can't deny any of that. Phew! Thank goodness. The rucksack is finally convinced.
But something still seems off. Way off. I'm still not convinced that the Iris here is the same one from the other night.
Huh. I suppose you're about to say something really ridiculous. Like the real Iris and the spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places?
Switch places? To be perfectly honest, there are still quite a few things I don't understand, but I do know that unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue this trial.
Iris doesn't have the spiritual powers needed to channel Dahlia, which means they must have switched places somewhere.
Well, Miss Wright, since the time she was arrested at Azkra Temple, have there been any chances for Iris to switch places with Dahlia Hawthorne?
Your Honor, I think there might have been one chance.
Oh? Explain yourself!
Yesterday for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown.
Unknown? What do you mean?
What I mean is, there was a span of time in which Iris was able to move about freely, unsupervised.
Well, who was it? Who would give a murder suspect time to move about freely like that?
I'm sorry, I know you didn't mean to, but it wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance to freely move about was... Nothing personal.
This is Mr. Edgeworth, isn't it?
Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not?
An earthquake? I do remember something about that.
Earthquake? Oh my goodness, they're in a temple! This kind of tremor might... How could I have... She fled. She escaped.
We went to the inner temple right away. And it's true, Iris was already there. However, they had already switched places by that point in time. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne.
That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here. No judging in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit channeling and...
Be quiet. Huh. It's been a long time, Mr. Judge.
That voice?
Guess I'll have to ask again. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules.
Dahlia Hawthorne, and my current profession, permanently retire.
Huh. So you're not gonna bother hiding your identity anymore, huh?
Why should I? After all, I'm dead. There's really nothing you can do to punish me.
What is going on here?
Dahlia Hawthorne. I never thought we'd meet again. And I never thought we'd meet like this. But this time, I'll end it. For her and for myself. I mean, you can't really end the spirit, but...
To be continued, Mr. Judge.